And then I was just like, as soon as the phone conversation results come out, I'm just like, Your Honor, everything these people said, my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sister said very aggressively in court to the point of forcing the courts to retrieve every single phone conversation there was. It was all a lie. I didn't have to be Sherlock Holmes to solve this one, nor some rocket scientist or genius. It was all a lie. And the phone conversations retrieved are going to prove that. And the courts found out about that as well. It was all a lie. Again, and yet it was pushed forward very aggressively as a last attempt to lock up my brain savant, thinking that there's no way of retrieving evidence and the truth again this time. Only to their shock and horror, there was a way, and the courts were just like, just get the evidence out any way possible. We need to find out the truth on these people. And they did. But they had to retrieve every single phone conversation there was in order to find out. Only that my dad, the greedy framer who lied on November 20th, creating mass panic and chaos, lied again early March 2026 after the 10-year-old child claiming 25 years later his false testimony was caught. They started a new set of lies, thinking this is the only option left. Those get caught. They had already confessed to these, and as soon as they found out who the government informant was, they had to let that one go. And then they started a new set of lies that costed the government huge amounts of money, manpower, mental health problems to retrieve every single phone conversation there was, only to find out that these set of lies were lies as well. And I told the courts, in the end, Your Honor, you're going to find out that every single thing this man, my dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sister said were all lies. This means that these people have absolutely no talking points left. My dad, the greedy framer, and his framer sisters have no talking points left after this point. They claimed on November 20th they witnessed me commit a crime. All found out they never did. They've claimed after that, early March 2026, they witnessed me commit a crime. All found out they never did. They claimed after that one incident, they witnessed me commit a crime. This time, first time it was government informant needed, November 20th. Second time, the government informant needed, mid-March 2026. This time, it was hard work needed. Courts had to retrieve every single phone conversation, and so they never did witness me commit this third crime either. So now they have no talking points left. What do they do now? They take law enforcement's talking points now. So right now is June 9th, and they're taking law enforcement's talking points. And why are they doing this? The reason that they are doing this is due to the fact that they do not have any more talking points left. They cannot claim that they witnessed me commit any crimes, attempt to do anything bad whatsoever. They're taking law enforcement's talking points, which is really odd because law enforcement has they've got mouths of their own, don't they? I'm pretty sure they speak English and they could read. So why are they taking law enforcement's talking points? Reason is very simple. Law enforcement themselves tried to fabricate a false testimony against me late 2023. That one was caught. Okay, after that, it was just at that time I couldn't really speak. But the entire year of 2023, law enforcement was flashing me with severe mental torture every time anyone would talk about a wedding, letting me know that there was an incident that occurred at a wedding that they wanted to frame me for in the year 2023. Only to find out that in the end, law enforcement themselves confessed before trying to frame me that they knew that I had nothing to do with it. And I'll tell you exactly how I know I had nothing to do with it. From the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, my mother never let me go outside the house. The facts and evidences will show that I never even went to the swimming pool, community pool, which was totally free anymore, basically due to poverty. And I used to work hard and I used to literally be itching to be able to work multiple jobs. And as soon as I could, I started working at Rite Aid, followed by Home Depot, all these places. I even worked at a basement of a doctor's clinic. I did everything possible to make sure that my mother was taken good care of, and that I could buy a car and help out around the house. And I bought like a 2002 Corolla that really did help out a lot cheap and efficient, and it was reliable, and it was cheap to buy as well. And so, yeah, working hard was all I did. Did I have money to go to these weddings and family gatherings? No, I did not. I was literally the poorest one in the family, which meant that every single one of these people in the family that law enforcement's BFFs with, like the relatives from Michigan, were definitely all present in these weddings. Whether it was Assad's sister's wedding in 2003 or any other one, they were all present. They all knew about this crime that I was being framed for. They all knew about it, which means that they all were involved in it. And law enforcement was involved in it because law enforcement covered it up, never asked anyone a single question relating to it, only to try to frame me in the year 2023 after finding out about my brain savant. Now you gotta understand how it came to being this. So what happened was my brain savant was still a questionable issue at this time, and I did not even know about it till August 9, 2022. Now we're talking about 2023 here, so let me move on real fast. August 9, 2022, there's a 6-hour long flight due to which law enforcement forced to lower the air drugging on me during this flight, due to which I find out that I have a brain savant. Not only one, but triple savant, and I use it for 6 hours straight on that flight. I had photographic memory, focusing, and innovation, and it was amazing. My ears were still locked up, by the way. The only time you would see my ears unlocked is when April 22nd, 2025, they mess with some senator, some big guy in government, and the guy just gets pissed. And he forces them to release my ears so that we could actually test it out to find out if it even exists or not. Exactly why. Be careful what you wish for. Don't lie too much, because then you're going to cause confusion, and then people big up on top are going to not like this confusion you're creating, and then they're going to want to know the truth. And when they want to know the truth and they want to look at the truth, guess what? Everyone else looks at the truth as well. Anyways, April 22nd, 2025 is the only time when these ears were unlocked. So August 9, 2022, basically there was a 6-hour long flight. In that flight, law enforcement's told, look, you don't lower the air drugging. There's mid-flight turbulence. Some old lady dies because she gets some of the air drugging. You're going to be responsible. So they're forced to lower the ear drugging on that flight. For 6 hours, I studied. They had my ears locked up using energy weapon torture tools, and they hit my foot the entire time to inhibit me from being able to study. Now, I did not stop studying. I did not know that there was a brain scanner, due to which they were monitoring my brain savant, and they did not like looking at the truth. I like how it is right now. They don't like looking at the truth, but they had to look at it for 6 hours, and they kept hitting my foot for 6 hours to inhibit me from being able to study. Now, I did not stop studying. It was the first time in my life I studied like that. Literally, like a third arm came out of my body. Like, would you stop just because someone's hitting your foot? No, you wouldn't. They can't break your foot in the middle of the flight anyways. The whole point of lowering the air drugging is that they can't do that. So basically, I just kept studying 6 hours long. I just studied. I don't know any animals that study, so I can't really compare myself, but I studied like crazy. And for 6 hours long, there was a brain scanner used, and I studied like crazy, and they kept hitting my foot. I didn't care. I just ignored it. First time I used my brain savant with that much potential, and it was literally like a third arm came out of my body. So I'm not going to stop studying. What I did not know was that there was a brain scanner. Now, in the flight lands, and obviously they break my foot. Using the energy weapon torture tools, they break my foot, and I walk with a limp for days afterwards. And I was a little bit, it's like I came out of that flight. I was like Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, It's like some guy, the old man tells Charlie, he's like, Charlie, don't tell anyone about your golden ticket. Just run on home. It's like Charlie, the kid who drank cabbage soup his entire life, finally has a golden ticket, and so did I. Except not only to go to the Chocolate Factory, I was going to make my own with this golden ticket. And obviously common sense dictates what's the number one rule. What does the old man tell Charlie? Charlie, don't tell anyone about your golden ticket, run home. That's exactly what I did. I ran home. I never told anyone about it. So in 2023, they basically hold those test results for 8 months. They don't let anyone have it, and they tell everyone that we're analyzing it. BS. It's 6 hours long, I know, but it doesn't take 8 months. 8 months later, they're forced to release it out to the public. Everyone finds out. They start trying to hit my head, trying to damage my brain savant. I'm forced to go to Saudi Arabia. I come back, and as soon as I come back, they use severe mental torture on me to try to frame me for this wedding incident that they get caught confessing I had nothing to do with. Now, the thing about it is, by now, the thing that I had to really talk about in this video is the fact that by now, my dad and his greedy framer sisters are using talking points from law enforcement. Law enforcement cannot use these talking points, and that's what I want to talk about. So basically, what happened was the war occurred when I was an 11-year-old child. Children are not held liable under the law. I got in trouble at school. I was like an 11-year-old child, and yeah. So, you know how children are. And so, what happened was basically, what happened was they're not letting me talk right now. What happened was they're not letting me talk right now. So, what happened was after that point, if anyone did ever say anything bad around me, it would only be when I was a child. I hadn't gained mental maturity at that time, and if anyone did say anything bad around me, guess who it was? Law enforcement's own BFFs. People that very shortly afterwards, as soon as my mother gained a little bit more independency, separated me from them. All of law enforcement's BFFs, a bunch of lowlifes sit at home and talk crap about the government and this and that. And basically, these are all law enforcement's own BFFs. They've been BFFs since 2001. And basically, what happens is, yeah, my mother's never been heard uttering one word considered bad, racist, any way, shape, or form bad her entire life. And very soon afterwards, as the conversation from Russia will show, obviously my mother gained more independency in this world, and I gained mental maturity as a child. Both things kind of happen at the same time. And what ended up happening was these BFFs of law enforcement were never to be seen around me ever again. But when the war occurred in 2001, they were around me. And they could have said something bad around me when I was a child. And law enforcement, now that all of their false testimonies have been caught, wishes to use that. Someone saying something bad around me as a child, to be able to use that against me, despite it being decades ago. And I was only there as a child. My mother would not be present. Obviously, if she would just tell them, like, can you not say stupid things around my child? He's already gotten in trouble when he was 11 at school. And yeah, and law enforcement now wishes to just use that. Anything that anyone could have said around me that could even remotely be considered bad. The only problem with this is there are major problems with this. First of all, it's being used because the false testimonies. First of all, it's being used because the entire year of 2025, we found out that I've done nothing my entire life except for work hard and do good work. Like leave a car behind, buy a car for my family, a 2002 Corolla, work hard, work 2 jobs. Even after school, I would work 2 jobs with Miss Deb at Sam's Club and CVS. And I know Miss Deb might be saying things against me right now, but for the past 2 years, she's been all over me for her daughter. And mark my words, the day I win this case, she's going to kick out her son-in-law for me and to try to get me to marry her daughter. Might sound crazy right now, but guess what? Crazy stuff happens in this world, and you don't know these people. I do. 2023, Miss Deb was all over me. Anyways, I did nothing between then and now to get her to change her mind, except for the fact that her daughter got married to someone, and now she thinks that my brain savant money is going to go to someone else. Anyways, separate story. What I was saying was that, so basically what happened was law enforcement only talking point right now, which they cannot argue themselves, they're going to give to my dad, the Grady Framer, and his Framer sisters, is that someone said something bad around me when I was a child. It would never be my mother. She's never heard uttering one word considered bad any way, shape, or form. The other thing is the fact that as soon as so the other thing is I gained mental maturity and my mother gained her independency both pretty much at the same time, and so as a child, and so basically if anyone did say anything bad around me, it would never be my mother. She's never been heard uttering one word considered bad, racist, any way, shape, or form. And brain scanner being used on my brain for years is going to prove without a reasonable doubt that I've never thought about anyone of any race, religion, ethnicity as being anything bad. Never thought of anything bad to them, around them, about them, ever. I've met everyone from Hindu, Christian, to Orthodox Jewish people with big beards. I had the utmost love and respect for all of them. I have years of brain scanner data proving this fact that my mother obviously is a good person and she's raised me to be a good person, and the brain scanner is going to prove without a reasonable doubt that I loved and respect everyone of every faith, religion, ethnicity, and background all the same. So basically, my mother gained her independency at the same time that I gained a little bit of mental maturity as a child. So basically, law enforcement wants to use anyone that could have said something bad around me when I was a child. Now, the problem with this is there are major problems for law enforcement for this. First of all, it's the reason they're using this is due to the fact that I did nothing wrong. Entire year of 2025, I won my cases. Like on June 28, 2025, I won my case. And the reason I did was because law enforcement, there's nothing bad I did my entire life. And law enforcement, after June 28, 2025, changed to coming after me and trying to get me to give them illegal assurances of money. Now, by this time, we all knew. Law enforcement knew about my brain savant. I knew they knew. And I was not willing to give anyone anything. Autistic people, we have our own obsessions. I have my own textbooks. I'm going to memorize them, work on my things, and yeah, work on my ideas. Now, law enforcement is going to claim that it can be possible to be done in 30 days. Well, whether it's 30 days or 100 days is irrelevant. What's relevant is, do you have the guts to look at reality? Because you can't do a 30-minute test to help save your life right now. And you're talking about arguing about whether it's going to take me 30 days or 100 days to get my first work done or not. And you don't have the guts to do a 30-minute test, not 30-day, 30-minute test to look at reality. You can't look at reality for 30 minutes with a brain savant test for 30 minutes. And you're speaking of whether it's going to be 30 days or 100 days that I'm going to need to get my first work done. Anyways, what I was trying to say was, basically, they made me forget using all these drugs. But what I was trying to say was basically, I gained mental maturity at the same time my mother had gained her independency. And so basically, what happened was, before that point, if anyone did say anything bad around me as a child, law enforcement cannot speak of it, mainly because there are major problems with it. First of all, I would only be present there as a child, and my mother would never be present there. And as soon as I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, I was never there. So that's one problem. I was a child. If anyone did say anything even remotely considered bad. Now, this is the only option they have left because I did nothing wrong, which is what we found out the entire year of 2025. The false testimonies on November 20th, early March, afterwards with the phone conversations being retrieved, everything's been found out to be a lie. 10-year-old child claiming 25 years later in mid-January 2026 was also a lie. Group chat false testimony coming out of my pharmacy school, that was also a lie. So now law enforcement basically has one option left. And there are major problems with that one option that law enforcement has left. Basically, law enforcement wants to blame the 10-year-old child for anything bad that any adult could have said around that child. But the problem is law enforcement doesn't want to blame the adult, because the adult's not going to be my mother, who's never been heard uttering one word considered bad. And it would never be me as a child even gaining slightest bit of mental maturity. We know this for a fact since the wedding incident from 2023 that law enforcement try to frame me for, I wasn't present there. And the reason I wasn't present there is because I am telling the truth about the fact that due to poverty, I couldn't be present anywhere anymore after gaining the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child. So due to poverty, I couldn't be present anymore, which means that after I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity, all I did was work hard in life, and I could not be present in any environments where anything even remotely considered bad could be said around me. Sometimes poverty and limitations in life is a major good thing. And so it did become one for me. I was never present anymore, except for work and school, helping my mother out, making sure she was okay. Um, so this basically means that the only thing with the false testimonies being caught right now, and the fact that there was nothing found against me the entire year of 2025, where after June 28, 2025, all law enforcement did was try to get me to give them illegal assurances of money, which I would never give a single penny of to anyone. The only option that law enforcement now has is try to run after me from when I was a child. And there are major problems with this. For one, you could tell from the conversation with my mother from Russia that after gaining the slightest bit of mental maturity, I would never be around any of these adults, mainly because they were a bunch of perverts who used to look for women online all day. And my mother told me to not go near them anymore. And so there was no reason I would. Why would I go near some lowlife in the family? No reason for me to do so, right? So I never did. Now, the problem with it is, you have people like Uncle Joey who could have said something bad around me as a child. Um, Uncle Joey, I haven't seen him since I was a child. And you could tell from the conversation that I had with my mother from Russia, the fact that as soon as Uncle Joey one day gets caught looking for a woman online all day, excuse me, the facts and evidences will show that from that point till today, from that point when I was a child till this very day right now, everything's on data. I've never met Uncle Joey ever again since I was a child. And the facts and evidences will also show that law enforcement was trying to get me to meet with him after everyone found out about my brain savant, only to help Uncle Joey run sex scheme ads. And the facts and evidences will also show that this occurred in the entire year of 2023, where law enforcement was trying to frame me for some incident that occurred at a wedding that Uncle Joey was probably even present for. I don't know. But that thing I had nothing to do with. And the other thing is, they're not letting me talk. The other thing is, in the entire year of 2023, law enforcement was trying to get me to help Uncle Joey with his sex scheme ad, and with a phone conversation where he would pretend to act like Uncle Joey from Full House, which is why we call him Uncle Joey. And in November 2023, the law enforcement then tries to get me to help Uncle Joey with his sex scheme ad at the funeral. I refused every single time, making it that the last time I met Uncle Joey was when I was a child and he got caught with his online chat by my mother, like how she explained from the phone conversation from Russia. Which means that law enforcement cannot use these talking points anymore. They couldn't use it in the start. Why? Because for one, I was a child present around anyone that could have said anything bad. And after I even gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I was never present around them anymore. Mainly because they were caught doing other things that were inappropriate around children that my mother caught them doing, as a phone conversation from Russia shows, which means that the only people that have been present around them are law enforcement. And law enforcement's been running sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws since the year 2001. And guess who hasn't seen Uncle Joey since he was a child? Me. I haven't seen Uncle Joey since I was a child and he got caught online with his online chats or something. So ever since I was a child, I've never seen any of law enforcement's BFFs, really. Never been around them much. My mother told me to be limited around them or just stay away from them if it wasn't needed, and that's exactly what happened. So law enforcement basically tortured me multiple times in my life, tried to force me to help Uncle Joey with a sex scheme ad, and I refused every single time, to the point that law enforcement boiled with anger so much that people like Pervez Elahi, who was a foreign statesman, started quoting Uncle Joey to show his allegiance with law enforcement and Uncle Joey against me, using words like Asan Faramosh, which basically means ungrateful child. So this talking point about someone saying something bad around me as a child is a very last desperate attempt by law enforcement. Law enforcement themselves cannot use this talking point because I haven't been around anyone since I was a child, and I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, and the only people that have are law enforcement, who were running sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws since 2001, and money fraud that started later on, God knows with whom or how much. All I can guarantee is it was probably done through bogus unemployment disability money, which later on turned into savings that the person accumulated, which is now being run on savings. But you don't have to be a genius to guess that as soon as this court case is done, they're going to go back to running running bogus unemployment disability money. Obviously, they're all a bunch of lowlifes. They're all BFFs with law enforcement. So the problem with law enforcement using this against me right now, saying that someone might have said something bad around me as a child, is the fact that I haven't been around this person since I was a child. So if Uncle Joey said something bad around me as a child, I haven't seen him since I was a child, despite law enforcement trying very aggressively for me to go near Uncle Joey multiple times in my life, torturing me. Pervez Elahi, foreign statesman, even quoting Uncle Joey to show his allegiance with Uncle Joey and law enforcement due to how aggressively they were fighting for each other against me to help get me to meet with Uncle Joey and help him with the sex scheme ad. I have never met these BFFs of law enforcement since I was a child. And ever since I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child, I have never met them, never been around them. So this thing is a very last desperate attempt by law enforcement to try to frame me, because November 20th got caught. The child testifying 25 years later, mid-March 2026, that got caught. All the lies that my dad's greedy framer sisters and him made, those got caught. Phone conversations retrieved, found numerous more lies that were made, those got caught. The government informant testified mid-March 2026 for initial lies that my dad, the greedy framer sister, his sisters and him were claiming, those got caught. So basically, this is the only thing left that law enforcement has now for talking points. They're going to try to say that someone said something bad around me. They said it when I was a child. But law enforcement cannot say this, mainly because law enforcement's been BFFs with that person since that time when I was a child till now, whereas I haven't seen that person since I was a child. Despite law enforcement trying very hard to try to get me to meet with that person, help them with their sex schemes, I have not. Which means that